Welcome to Vanadium Theater. Literary theater, actually. No, I'm just going to be reading a book. My own book from 2016. This is Break the Bastion. Let me just get my levels here sorted out. Am I sounding good here? I think that. Let's turn up the gain a little bit. Let's get a little more gain up in this business. A little more gain. Wait, shouldn't that? Wait. Yeah. How's that? Yeah, there we go. That's better. So, today's chapter is going to be number 16. And this is probably one of my favorite chapters in the book. So this is titled Lucas and the Ray. At school the following day, most of the students were talking about what had happened to Knox Jabarosa. The rumors included a version that he'd been put into a mental hospital after taking off all his clothes and repeatedly slamming his head into the school sidewalk. One student in Morgan's gym class told him that Knox had become blind and could no longer speak. When he found Lucas sitting by himself in the cafeteria during lunch, Morgan sat down with a look of exhilaration brimming in his face from the night before. "You look happy," Lucas told him. "I had some kind of night. Probably the best night of my life." Later that day, they passed by Knox's friends, who were standing by the lockers, but there was no sign of Knox himself. The group of boys looked confused, perhaps afraid. Their expressions were blank, and blood drew out of their faces when they saw Lucas and Morgan in the hall. Morgan looked right at them, and they just turned away, as though Strix was there with his eyes flashing. "I guess Strix made them think twice," said Morgan. "Let's see them try to screw around with us now." "What do you think happened to Knox? Do you think he's dead?" "Nah," Morgan said. "There would be people cheering in the hallway and rainbows in the sky." Morgan was friendly with a few linebackers on the school football team, and they ran into a group of them in the hallway. One boy, with broad shoulders and a buzzed haircut, asked Morgan what had happened with Knox. "Hey, Battle," the boy started to ask, "I heard you and Lucas Mucus used some kind of toy to lobotomize Knox." "It's true," Morgan told him. "We performed brain surgery right in front of the school. We were tired of his shit. And my friend's name is just Lucas." "Thanks," Lucas told him as they walked away. "I don't need you to stand up for me, though." "I wasn't," said Morgan. "I'm just tired of hearing people call you that." Morgan took the cable car and met Callista that evening as well. The fog was so thick that the lights of the Bastion were swallowed by the haze. Even the ocean noise seemed to disappear in the sea smoke. Callista's house seemed like part of a cloud city. She met Morgan outside, bringing both her Strix and quite a large quilt to put on the grass for an evening picnic. Eventually, they found a spot just at the edge of the woods. The location was private and gave them their own view of the Bastion. They sprawled out on the quilt after Morgan unfolded it. She rested her head on his lap, and he ran his fingers through the length of her hair. Morgan had a difficult time taking his eyes off her face, while her mind seemed somewhere else. She closed her eyes, and he wondered what she was thinking. "Do you know why Lucas is so strange?" she asked him. The question took him by surprise. He hadn't expected Lucas's name to come up. He told her, "Beats me. That kid's an enigma." "It's like he's on a mission from God or something," she said. "Like he knows and accepts what happens before it even happens. I don't think I've ever met someone so unafraid." "I don't think I have either," Morgan admitted. "I sometimes like to think of myself as fearless, but I know that isn't the truth. I know how I feel inside." "It's like he's at war with something." "I think he is, with just about everybody and everything." "Does he have," Callista asked, "has he ever had a girlfriend or anything?" Morgan chuckled, saying, "He doesn't get asked out a lot, no." "He doesn't even seem like the sort that would be interested," she said. Callista asked the owls, "Strix, what happened to Lucas's father? How did he die?" "Myocardial infarction, brought on by storm madness," said Strix. You both may know of it as a heart attack." The owl added, "However, the story is not without some mystery." "What do you mean by mystery?" "One of the medical examiners found his death peculiar and recommended there be an investigation for foul play." "Did they find anything?" Callista asked. "There was no trace of anything out of the ordinary in terms of forensics," said Strix. "His death was eventually determined to be the root of chronic storm madness. He had been in decline for some time, in and out of hospitals, before the madness shut down his heart." "Storm madness, just like my mom?" Callista asked. It was a much worse case than what is typically observed. He developed a violent fear of water and complete loss of mental faculties. It was quite traumatic for Lucas," Strix went on. "The heart attack seemed a peaceful end." Morgan interrupted. He said, "You know, I remember when that happened, when his father died. I didn't know him, but I heard it around at school. I just remember the way Lucas looked. He didn't cry once. He didn't even speak. He just sat by himself all day, not even looking at anyone. I remember even the bullies knew enough to stay away from him then. Then one morning," Morgan went on, "the splash alarm siren went off while we were all in the cafeteria. We all saw something land outside, and we all realized it was a big manta ray. The trees had broken the fall, but the thing was hurt and squirming for air. Next thing we knew, Lucas was out the door with the alarm still going off. Even with his condition, he climbed the tree, picked up the manta ray with his bare hands, and brought it all the way to one of the Laurence ports. The teachers, they were all yelling at him, but they were too scared to go outside to stop him. I'm pretty sure he saved the thing, too. It was pretty badass, I have to say. He'd made up his mind. He just wasn't going to let the thing die." When Morgan got home that night, his father was half awake in the living room, watching the war on TV through blurred, drunken eyes. He could somehow tell where Morgan had been. Perhaps it was the trace of smile left on Morgan's face. "Is she pregnant yet?" his father asked him with a smirk. "You don't have to say anything. I know we don't always get along, but I can read that look on your face." Morgan sat down on the easy chair next to the couch. Even though his father wasn't his favorite confidant, he had a strong urge to talk about Callista to someone. "Come on," said Killian. "You can talk to me about it. I know we're different, but we have a few things in common." "She lives up the hill," Morgan told him. "She's rich. But she doesn't fit in with the rest of them. She's different." "Ah, rich girl," said Killian. "Interesting. What makes you think she's so different?" "For one thing," Morgan told him, "she seems to hate the other rich kids at her school and doesn't hang out with them. Seems much more interested in learning stuff. She's really smart." "What would a smart girl want with you? You're not exactly Blaise Laurence." "You know, I'm not an idiot," said Morgan. "Some people seem to think I'm worth paying attention to. As a matter of fact, Blaise Laurence is one of those people." "I just want you to be careful," said Killian, sounding actually concerned, almost tender. "You have no idea how nasty the world and people can be." "I think I do." "The hell you do. Remember, rich people are taught to throw people away. This girl of yours," Killian said, "she's not interested in you. She's only interested in getting something from some other rich guy. Probably her father in this case. They just use people like us." "She's not like that." His father started laughing. "You found the one exceptional woman," he said. "I have." "Just remember one thing," said his father. "My dad told me this when I was young, but I didn't listen. I just thought he was pissed off at me at the time. He warned me. Each and every woman was put here to destroy a good man. It's where evil comes from, you know. They infect us with it." "Grandpa sounds like a real romantic," said Morgan. "That's okay," said Killian. "You're young. You'll realize soon." Late that night, Morgan woke to Brian coughing and gasping for breath. The boy's disease was in a fit of rage. Morgan went to his bedside, wiped some sweat from his face and forehead with a towel, and took out 2 steroid pills. He helped Brian hold a glass of water to swallow them. His little brother swallowed the pills. Then his head quickly fell back on the pillow. Brian's condition made him very weak, but the fatigue that night was particularly bad. He seemed only partially conscious. All the coughing, shivering, and sweating had his body severely depleted. His compromised immune system was at war with a particularly nasty opponent, one driving him sicker than perhaps ever before. "What's with all the damn coughing?" grumbled Morgan's father at the doorway. The person that makes your lives possible is trying to sleep. Tell that brother of yours, he said to Morgan, that he should try a little harder not to cough so much. It's damn annoying. He's sick, Morgan snapped. What the hell is he supposed to do? Oh, I don't know, said Killian, forming a scowl on his droopy face. Maybe a little shit can muffle the coughs into a pillow or something. Maybe he doesn't need to completely ruin my days and my nights. Stop it, said Morgan. He's passed out. He can't hear me. Don't worry. When I'm 18, we'll both be gone. We won't bother you anymore. You'll never see us again. Killian said, That's a few years away. If you don't watch how you talk to me, neither of you will get to see it. Morgan stood up at the foot of the bed and took a step toward his father. Still 6 inches shorter, he threw his shoulders back and held himself like a boxer at a weigh-in. His father just stood there, without giving away so much as a millimeter. What are you going to do? He asked Morgan. Do you think I'll hold back one bit just because you're my son? I know you won't. His father leaked out a twisted smile, taking a step back to sit on the edge of the bed. Boy, he said, I almost like your style. You're just like me. No, I'm not. When I look at you, it's pretty clear to me that you're my boy. Don't get me wrong. That won't stop me from beating the piss out of you. It's what helped me. But that brother of yours, he's not like us. Morgan knew where his father was going with the conversation. This had been going on since before genetic tests were available in Azerton. At Brian's birth, he'd already seemed suspicious of Morgan's mother. While she bled out after Brian was born, he refused to be by her side in the hospital. After her death, he did his best to ignore Brian, leaving everything to Morgan. Although he tried to avoid Brian, Morgan's father seemed to resent the boy occupying the airspace in the house. That night, before he left the room, Killian told Morgan, I didn't bust my ass for my whole life to take care of some other bastard sick kid. I ain't no cuckold boy. He started to ask, do you know what animals do when something like this happens? Morgan said, I have no idea. Yes, you do, his father said, just before he left. Just as the door closed behind him, Morgan saw Strix's light take over the room. The owl told him, Don't worry, Morgan. Brian is fast asleep. He didn't hear anything. He isn't safe. You're correct, Morgan. He isn't safe here. What can I do? Morgan asked, sounding frustrated. I don't know what the hell to do. Don't worry, Morgan. The solution will reveal itself to you. Great. Thanks. Strix said, We understand you've been bonding with Callista. That's wonderful. Morgan felt a faint trace of a smile on his face. This was the first time he'd used those muscles in his face since he left her. He told Strix, I guess so. Very good, Morgan. We're very pleased to hear that. When do you plan to see her again? I don't know. Love, Strix went on, is of much interest to us. Love is something humans simply won't give up on. The owl added, even at the end of your world. What do you mean by that? It's ending, Morgan. Everything you've ever known. Every conceivable human organization and institution. Every bit of culture and tradition. The days are numbered. You know that. You can't stem the mighty ocean forever. What's more is that humans have even given up trying. Of course, the end is inevitable. I don't believe that. The sooner you believe it, the better, Morgan. Morgan looked over to his brother, Brian, who was shivering under the covers and beating sweat on his forehead. He told Strix, I won't believe it. We're very sorry for this burden, said Strix, but Brian's end is coming soon. No, it's not. Morgan stood up. He isn't that sick. He's not going anywhere. It's not his illness that is to be feared, said Strix. It's the world he was brought into. It's evil, you know. All of it. That's why it will end. That's why it needs to end. Stop, said Morgan. His eyes started to fill with tears. The world's not evil. There may be evil in it, but it's not all bad. Even love, said Strix, is corrupted by this place. Don't you see, Morgan? It's gone rotten. All of it. Your brother will actually be spared of the worst of this place. Please stop. We're very sorry, Morgan. We know the burden this knowledge is to a human being. What can I do, Strix? There must be something, Morgan said, rubbing the palms to his face to wipe the tears. Just let go. The world needs to start over. Why are you saying this to me? What does any of this have to do with me? You've known for a long time, said Strix. You're special. Haven't you, Morgan? No, that's just it. I'm nothing special at all. I'm just a juvenile delinquent. I've been thrown out of just about everything except for school, and I'll probably get around to that eventually. I'm not exceptional in any way. You're lying, of course. That's what you've been taught by everyone around you. But you don't believe that nonsense. You feel the truth, Morgan. You can't deny it. Be honest. When Dr. Laurent selected you, there was part of you that wasn't surprised. There was part of you, Morgan, that expected the day to come. The day when your destiny begins to reveal itself. Thank you all very much. That was chapter 16, and I will be bringing chapter 17 next, and that chapter is titled Lucas and the Chrysalis. So I really like these chapters a lot. So thank you all very much for tuning in to Vanadium. It's been Literary Hour. Much more to come soon. Thank you all very much.